Morning, everybody. My name's Oscar Hernandez. I'm a real estate broker here in Nevada and also in Georgia. And today we're going to be talking about the market in Georgia. Whether you want to buy, invest, or just simply know how the market is, well, today is your day, especially if you're thinking of moving to Georgia, relocating, or just simply investing. Like I said, well, I have an expert with me today. His name is Mike Bollet. He's going to be talking about what's happening out there, whether it is a buyer's market, a seller's market, what price ranges are we seeing a difference in? And so on this ever changing market in Georgia that has had a lot of different things happen in the last few years. We went from being one of the hottest markets to being very stagnant. Well, that's changing slowly but surely. So he's going to be with us today. Just want to tell you a little bit about myself and what we do in this channel. We talk about real estate Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We go live at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. if you're in the East Coast. So if you're in Georgia, we'll come out at 11 a.m. But you can listen to this program anytime. You can also ask your questions. You can participate on the chat. And please subscribe and like if you like this content. So with me today is Mike Bollet from Georgia. Let's give him a welcome. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Oscar. Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, we have been working together for a few years now, helping clients relocate, helping clients invest in Georgia. You and myself are both licensed over there. Tell me a little bit about you for this new channel that we just opened for people to start getting to know you and to know what you do out there and how long you've been doing it for.
Well, grew up in real estate. My parents were both involved in real estate. My mom was a broker. My father was a developer, and I had that in my blood growing up. So in one way or another, I was part of, their offices and whatnot. I started my career a little bit later. I worked in the corporate world for quite a while, and then I moved to commercial real estate. I did that for a few years, and the timing was just a little bit not right. The economy was in a severe downturn at that time, and I got back into the corporate world for some time. And then once I made that change, I've been full time back in real estate for another 10 years. And we've seen so many changes, not just in commercial and residential here in all over Georgia, but the Atlanta area, the metro Atlanta area, and the surrounding counties, we've seen tremendous change and growth just up to the last 5 years. So, right now, we are seeing a more balanced market today. It's not just a seller's market anymore, but buyers are a little bit more selective, price sensitive, and they expect more value in the transactions they want to move forward with.
Now, Mike, I help a lot of clients relocate from different states. For example, we work Southern California, we work Northern California, we work Nevada, Arizona, Dallas, Houston, Georgia, New York, Massachusetts, Washington, and why Georgia? Why should somebody consider Georgia as their new home?
Well, personally, I think Georgia has one of the most exciting real estate markets, not just in terms of investing, but just the varied areas that we have. Georgia offers anywhere from beachfront, oceanfront, mountain properties up in the Blue Ridge, lakefront. We have some amazing lakefront. We have amazing urban, amazing suburban neighborhoods. It really has so much to offer no matter what part of Georgia you want to move to. But Atlanta has been a huge draw for professionals relocating from all over the world, all over the country. And there's something for everyone in here in Georgia.
Now, as far as prices go, it is also more affordable than other big cities out there. So that also I think has a lot to do with it. You have big corporations that moved in. You have technology. You have manufacturing. You have a lot of different fields and industries that make it attractive for young professionals and other people to move into and explore the city. Now, I love Georgia. Georgia is one of the most beautiful states and cities. I in the Atlanta area is one of the most beautiful I visited, and I've been in several different states. Um, so it does make sense to me that a lot of people are moving there. Prices are increasing, regardless of what you hear, because we always, there's those who always talk about the next crash, right? They say, hey, the crash is finally here. And one day they might be right. I just don't think it's gonna be today or anytime soon. And certainly hasn't been the last 2 years. Now, we have seen a big difference going from 2020 to 2021 when things were hectic and crazy and just unsustainable, to late 2022, 2023, 2024, where we saw the market s- stagnant. It came to a halt, to a complete stop in some cases, and even then, Mike, prices held. I mean, you're talking about a. I was reading a report from Redfin just earlier today before going live, and the report is that as of April 2025, we've had an increase in year to year of 1.9%, so almost 2% increase in purchase. I mean, in value of properties between last year and this year. Now, I would say that's healthy. I would say that's more like it, right? I mean, we're not going to see 10, 20, or 15% year to year, because that's unsustainable. But a 2% or close to 2% sounds reasonable considering what's happened in the last few years.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. The real estate market, and we can go back the past 50 years to try to get some sense of predictability. There's always, in the history of real estate, there's always been up markets and down markets and everything in between. And if one thing we've seen, and we can recognize that even in the down markets, and there's obviously different variants of what a down market is,
Hmm.
right? So even in our down market now, it is still significantly greater than what we've seen in the past, where someone might call that the market crash, right? So back in 2008, there were some really serious market changes going on and financing issues with mortgages at that time that created a speed bump for real estate. But we've evaluated, we've fixed those issues, we've moved forward, and still it goes in an upturn regardless. So we might have dips and growths, but the market is still quite strong. And I will take a 2%, 1.5% appreciation over zero, right? But in the past, we've seen really great appreciation over that, but we can't always be in an up market.
Well, and just because you're talking about it, it is right here. This is from 1987 till March of 2025. This is what's happened in the real estate prices, as far as what the value of the properties have been in the last what is it, 50 years pretty much. So here you have 1987, and how we've had times where the growth has been slow. Then we had that uh, you know um, I guess 2007 when things 2008 when things took a turn. But even now, considering that and going all the way up to 2025, this has been when the rates were low, right around the pandemic. And till today, we have an average of 5% in the last 50 years. So regardless of what has happened, the properties have gone up. So I agree with you. I take that any day over um over rent, to be honest with you. But here's the thing. I think everybody wants to rent. And Charlie, if you can help me take that screen out, let me know when we're ready. um Here's the thing. Everybody wants to buy, and there is a big challenge for a lot of people to get into the market right now, right? And that challenge is the affordability. And it is serious, and it's something we need to consider, uh on why the market is the way it is, because consumers confidence is just completely gone. People are hesitating whether they should buy, whether they even qualify, or are able to be pre-approved. We have more debt than ever in credit cards. That we have real concerns, right? And people are really wondering, should they, or can they even, be able to afford a house right now? So, I see it a lot in the millennials, and Generation Z, that somehow they feel like they're out of the market completely. But I don't think that's the case. I just think that's the perception of things. So for someone that's listening to us right now that say, hey, I never even thought of buying a house because it really seemed like that was out of the picture for me. I don't even think I can afford. What do you suggest to all the people that are listening to us that may be paying more for rent that they could be paying for their own property?
Yeah, absolutely. For individuals that feel home ownership or investing in real estate is not attainable, they should consider and compare how that scenario would look if they just continue to rent and rent for the following decades.
Mm,
Right. So let's not focus necessarily on right now, because the real estate market will rebound. It may have its dips, but it still will be the strongest way to build equity. Everyone should be focused on building financial equity for themselves and their family, regardless if it's in real estate or other investments. That's the only way as we can counteract market inflation that all of us are experiencing. Everyone is experiencing inflation in every aspect of personal and business here in the United States. And we hope for better days coming, and I'm certain we will see those days. And when it comes to investing, and it's the same with real estate, when there's a down market, that is honestly one of the best
yeah.
opportunities to break in and have a slight advantage. When everyone is investing, everyone is interested in the same property, you're going to be blown away with competing offers, and the sales prices will inflate, and you're not going to be in a scenario where you can get more for your money. You might have to start at a higher level. Will you build equity over long term? Absolutely. Everyone that's in real estate has built equity over their long term investments, and I think it's going to continue to be the same.
Yeah. You said something very, very important right now. Is long term, right? You always want to build equity, but I think most people, we don't think in long term sometimes. And we should. The bank has a 30-year loan program for you. They're thinking 30 years ahead. They're thinking, how do we get this guy or this person to pay us for the next 30 years, right? So you have to have a strategy. You have to have a plan, um, in order to succeed in real estate. Like now, my first property, Mike, I bought my first property when I was 23 years old. All right. And that property was $35,000 here in Vegas. It was a condominium, and obviously that property is not worth $35,000 anymore. It's probably right around 325. So yes, it has gained a lot of equity. I don't have it anymore. I had to sell it. It had rental restrictions, so I couldn't continue. I couldn't keep the house once I bought a different one. But it was one of the best investments I ever did because that gave me the opportunity to get into the market and to start investing and moving up in real estate, right, at a very young age. At least, I'm sure I haven't been the youngest person to buy. I've helped clients at 19 and 20, 21, and right now I'm helping somebody in Southern California that's 22 years old. So imagine that, 22 years old buying in Southern California. I mean, people don't hear this, but it's true. It happens. So I think you have to be very creative, very proactive in preparing yourself. I think preparation is going to be key here because in some cases, um, Mike, based on the inventory that we have in Georgia in this moment today, you have 2.5 months of inventory in houses, which is by no means a buyer's market. Even though we're having an experience of a buyer's market in some cases, it is not a buyer's market by inventory. It's a buyer's market by the lack of confidence and trust that the consumer has in getting into a property right now. That's the only reason. And like Mike was saying, downturns are a great opportunity for you to get in. Why? Because people are scared. People are not making a move. They're waiting. And the waiting, do not play the waiting game. It is not a strategy. And I was talking about this the other day with a friend, Mike, about the difference in patience and in passiveness. You know, patience is clarity, is clear. You have clarity of mind. You know where you're going when you're being patient. You know you're not there yet, but you have the patience to continue working towards that you're getting. Passiveness, on the other hand, passiveness is frustration, is the lack of action you need to take, knowing you need to take it. And so, in a market like this, you cannot be passive. You can be patient, but patient also takes you to make decisions and to have to do certain things. So, right now in this market, be patient to find a deal, but don't be passive to think what everybody else is thinking. I'm just going to wait until the rates go down. Big mistake. Don't do it. Obviously, don't get into something you can't afford. But back to the inventory, Mike. We have 2.5 months of inventory in houses, single family. We have almost 3 months of inventory in townhomes, and we have five and a half almost inventory in condominiums. So we have 2,478 condominiums for sale in the Atlanta or Georgia area, and only 458 under contract. Now, I just told you my first property was a condo. And if I had to start again and that was the only option, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. You know why? Because we're talking about monthly payments now. You think condo, you think affordable. That is the new first time buyer property. I mean, you can buy a condo in Georgia for a lot cheaper than you can buy a house, and you can buy a townhome, and probably for a lot cheaper than you can pay for rent right now, Mike.
Absolutely. And I just want to say I love what you said in the comparison between being patient and passive, because that is a very strong difference in the two. The market right now is more balanced. It's not a buyer's market, it's not a
I
seller's
am. I'm gonna
market
continue.
anymore. Buyers are just being very much more selective and price sensitive, and they expect more value in the properties that they're going to move forward with. Condos are still price great, even though they do come with considerable costs for maintenance and whatnot. But one thing to consider, not all condos are great investments, because many of them, especially in the Atlanta area, they do have rental restrictions, and that could potentially uh, be an issue for your long term equity. You know, folks many of my clients that have gone into condos were first time home buyers or purchased the property as convenience, since they just relocated to the city and it was just a low maintenance option. But for long term, they do, most of them have outgrown that condo lifestyle and things can change. So if you want to sell a condo in a market where we have one of the highest inventories, that's not going to be a quick sell. It may not be a quick sell. So I would always recommend hold it, rent it, but you have to find the right condo to give you that opportunity. So you do have that flexibility.
That's a
And
great point.
and with patience, patience gives you the time to strategize. Look into your options, connect with your trusted real estate broker so that you can begin strategizing, find out what your purchase power is, and find what is the best monthly payment for your investment. You don't want to max out. You want to build equity and still have room to live and grow and not be susceptible to a market downturn like we experience here and there.
Excellent. So you touched on a lot of good things there. One is the maintenance, right? Yes, monthly payments are going to be lower. Maintenance is also going to be lower, and it's probably going to be fixed, meaning you have your HOA fees, right? So what does HOA cover usually? Everywhere is different, so you have to make sure that when you're looking into a condo, you understand what that HOA covers. Because in some cases you're going to be paying 200, 300, $400 on HOA. But to give you an example, HOA on a condo is most likely going to cover the water, is going to cover the trash, is going to cover the maintenance, and it's going to cover the structural insurance. So those are bills that you're going to have to pay regardless. The opportunity you have on a condo is that, or a townhome is that in some cases, you're able to cover everything with the HOA and you only have to pay probably your power bill and your gas bill if you have any gas on the condominium, which is going to be a lot cheaper and a lot lower than it is to have a house. So, on that sense, yes, you pay an HOA that seems to be high, but when you take into consideration what's covered, you realize, well, you know what? This is just gives me an idea. It's more predictable and I can put it in the budget, right? So, but on the other hand, you have to be absolutely mindful that you might have to sell it at some point if the if the units have rental restrictions. And that's what happened to me. I was able to sell it. I was able to sell it for a good price, way higher than I did bought it. But you do have to keep those things in mind. I knew it had rental restrictions. I knew I was gonna have to sell it at some point. So you also have to consider those things, especially in the moment you're buying. But I would say, Mike, I don't think 2,478 condominiums is a lot of condos in a market that usually has about 55,000 properties for sale in statewide. So I think the only reason why condos are the way they are right now, it's because of the lack of buyers moving into because they don't see that as their first time of their first property. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't choose um or strategize to get into the first property. A lot of people just go based on what's, like everybody wants that 3 bedroom, 2 bath, or 4 bedroom, 3 bath, 2 car garage, 3 car garage, 2 story with a pool. You know, the reality is if you want to get into real estate as a beginner and you cannot afford that 4 bedroom, 2,000 square feet, 3,000 square feet home, then you start with what you want, what you can. And that is one of the best ways to get because a condo that's under 200,000 Mike, you only need, you need less than $10,000 to get in. In some cases, if you're able to get the seller to pay for your closing cost, and believe me, with 5 months of inventory, you'll most likely get it. You might just have to come in with $6,000, $5,000, depending on the purchase price. And just to give you an example, I'm looking at the MLS right now, and we don't have to share the screen, Charlie. I just want to see something here real quick. And give me 1 second here, guys. There are 268 condos under 200 in the Georgia, in the Atlanta area. That's huge.
That is huge. And some of those are really nice buildings. That's one thing Atlanta has a lot of is very nice condo options. And there's something for everyone, whether you want to be in a high rise or a low rise. Um, all full service amenities, concierge, valet, pool, tennis. We have it all, or we have as little as you need. My the most of my condo clients are young professionals. They may be single. They may travel a large portion of their for work and whatnot. So it's the best lowest maintenance, highest convenience purchase option right now. And you can find so many that are under that median
Oh yeah.
home sales price of 350, 380. That's where everyone is focused. Well, that's what it's going to take to buy a home. It's going to cost at least 300,000, but that's not the case at all.
So, Mike, the average first time home buyer, or the average home buyer, keep age keeps going up. 2023, we were at 35. Okay. 2025, we're at 38. So the average age of a first time home buyer continues to go up. What does that tell you?
I think that tells me that it's the same generation that is now considering purchasing. We have the younger generations that think it's not even possible. They're not even in that mindset. And the next generation that were, several 4 or 5 years ago, they were in the 30, 35 age range. Now they're in that 35 to 40 age range. They see more than ever that they have to invest, they have to build equity. And, being passive is not going to reward them or their families long term.
That's correct. So hey, for all of you that are gonna listen to this program, it's very simple, guys. Time's gonna go by anyway, right? So who you hear or who you listen to, and I don't know why my screen keeps shutting off and coming back up. I apologize if okay, well here it keeps shutting off. Um, so what I wanted to say is this: really set up a plan, guys, because time's gonna go by. You're gonna end up realizing, hey, I should have bought a house before. And even though there's plenty of opinions out there, nobody is going to decide for you, right? So don't let others decide for you. Make an assessment of where you're at, what do you have, how much can you pay for a mortgage? Because think about it, there's a possibility that if this generation that we're talking about, 38 years old, getting into their first house, there's a possibility that some of those um, people have been renting for 18 years, maybe for 13 years, maybe since they were 20, maybe since they were 25. I mean, I don't know, right? But that's a lot of rental. That's a lot of money that went to rent that could have gone towards your property. And yes, you are also making a mortgage payment. So what's the difference between renting and a mortgage payment? Well, depending on how you do your payments, if you were just to leave them at whatever the bank is, you know, um, whatever the monthly mortgage payment is, you at least will be putting up a little bit of principal every year towards that mortgage, and then you have some appreciation. And if we go based on the appreciation that we got from last year to this year, you're talking about 2% to 3% on average. And by the time 10 years go by, 5 years go by, believe me, you'll be in a way better off position than renting. So um, the real estate market in Georgia is changing. It's coming back, I would say, right, Mike?
Yeah, it's definitely re-energizing. We've seen it a bit slower than what we had predicted for first and second quarter, but just in the last 2 weeks alone, and which it's coinciding with the summer market that's beginning, we're seeing more multiple offer scenarios, more competing offers on the same property. So that is a direct indication that it is heating up. It is getting busier. And as we've seen before, and when the market is completely inundated with that competition, that just drives the prices up, and you're no longer going to get the best deal as you could right now, where we're still in that balanced market and just doing the best with the inventory that we have. Sellers right now, they are a little bit more hesitant just because they don't want to become buyers in this market. So, if you do have a property that you're considering selling, if you want to sell it quickly, put in the effort, make some minor repairs, present the property in the best scenario, the best way possible to give you that cutting edge where buyers are being just much more selective.
Excellent. Mike, thank you so much for being here with us today. We are looking forward to continuing growing this channel along with everybody that's listening to us or that will at some point listen to this video. So thank you so much for your time, Mike. Looking forward to continuing working the Atlanta metro area with you and all your team. So thank you and have a great day, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember, we're live every day here from 9 a.m., 8:50, 9 a.m. to about 30, 40 minutes. So between 8, I would say between 9 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. Monday through Thursday here live to talk about real estate and to answer your questions. So thank you very much, Mike. Say hi to everybody over there for me, and we'll be in touch.